But first, I've come here to find out about a group of forgotten soldiers from the Second World War. They were members of the British Indian Army who volunteered, then travelled thousands of miles to support the Allies. Some of them are laid to rest here in Kingussie. The cemetery is just outside the village, and meeting me here is Omar Sheikh from Colourful Heritage, a group that celebrates South Asian and Muslim history in Scotland. So Omar, tell me, who were these soldiers?
So this is a fascinating story of a regiment called Force K6, who the day after Christmas in 1939 were deployed from India as part of the British Indian Army. It's an all-Muslim regiment from the Punjab.
1,800 men, and with them over 2,000 mules, were deployed in France, carrying supplies to the Western Front. But as the Allies were beaten back, Force K6, along with thousands of others, were evacuated at Dunkirk in June 1940. How did they end up here in Kingussie?
In Britain, they made their way up to Scotland via Wales, the Brecon Beacons, and up in Scotland here, they were training, they were planning for Churchill's mad Operation Jupiter, as it was known, which was Churchill's plan to capture the airfields and the tracks in Norway.
The tough terrain of the Scottish hills must have felt familiar to these men. They were from the Punjab, another mountainous and rugged territory. But now they found themselves amongst communities in the Highlands, places like Lairg, Dornoch, Ballater, and here at Kingussie. I would imagine that these guys were quite a sight around the Highlands of Scotland. How did they go down with the locals?
Absolutely. I mean, this is the first time many of the locals have seen a coloured person in their life. And there was a phenomenal friendship and a relationship that built. Pictures of the soldiers with the kids making little dolls, and they made chapatis and they shared it with the local. That's probably their first taste of Indian food as well, for that matter.
Operation Jupiter was eventually abandoned, but the men continued to train and work for the military. And although they weren't fighting, sadly, there were still casualties from accidents in mountain training and illnesses like tuberculosis. 9 members of Force K6 are laid to rest in Kingussie Cemetery. Of course, Colourful Heritage didn't exist when they died, but one local lady wanted to make sure their memory was honoured.
Well, they were very smart. They were very polite. We would meet maybe in the shops, and they would smile and say hello.
Isabel Harling, seen here at the cemetery in 2018, has tended the graves of these men for almost 70 years. At Isabel's home, her daughter filmed this interview for us.
I didn't like to see the graves untidy or weeded, so we just went down and we started doing it. Their families are far away, and the boys came over to help us. It's only right that we should help them. They gave everything up for us, and we should spend a little time remembering what they did.
Earlier this year, Isabel received a well-deserved British Empire Medal for her efforts. When the members of Force K6 arrived here almost 80 years ago, it was a foreign, strange country to them in the midst of war. Tragically, some of them didn't make it home. But it's lovely and heartening to think that somebody looked after not only their graves, but their memory for so many years.